Okay, so this story is one I have been dying to share to the public for a long time. It's so insane that I've sadly forgotten some details over time. However, none of this will really hit unless I give you a little bit of information about myself at the time of recording and scripting this. Okay, so my name is Izzy. I am currently 17 years old, and the entirety of this story took place in Western North Carolina. I've only been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, OCD, and other various mental health things since I was like 14, so that might explain some of what caused, this whole thing. Okay, I'm so sorry for stalling, it'll all make sense, I swear. So let's start from the very, very beginning. I've always been an artist, and I've always struggled socially amongst my peers. That's why when I found out some of my only friends, or acquaintances at least, were going to be moving to a brand new charter school after 2nd grade finished, I sort of tweaked out on my FOMO and begged my parents to enroll. It was some weird raffle thing, but I managed to get in. I was super pumped for my new environment that I didn't give a shit that there would be uniforms, or that the school would be right next to a crusty-ass Kmart, or that the school would have no grassy area to play in, just a goddamn parking lot. So I started 3rd grade in 2014, right? Do you guys remember how saturated that year was with those wacky internet challenges? Well, I was no exception to trying them out, or at least my older brother wasn't. He really wanted us to try the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. He was like 12, we were both kind of dumb, not only safety-wise, but also religiously. We grew up without going to church or praying or anything to do with religion. We knew the gist of Christian religions, but we didn't have any strong beliefs. I'm sorry, I know this sounds like a boring-ass life story, but this is all crucial information for what the title is talking about. Anyway, my brother had this silly little idea of telling me that if I didn't do the Ice Bucket Challenge, I'd probably get possessed by a demon? So I was like, is there any way around that? And he's like, I mean, you can get the demon out by drinking from the river. And I'm just like, I can't do that, that's nasty. So he was like, oh shit, she actually believes me, I should probably soften this a bit so I don't get in trouble. And he says, well, they're actually nice demons and they just need a body to control. And then of course I was like, ooh, nice demons? And then he's like, I'll show you what they look like. So my little undiagnosed autistic agnostic brain was absolutely enthralled with this goofy little creature. Mostly because it looked a lot like our Chihuahua, and that's definitely where he got the inspiration. And by the way, he still made me do the Ice Bucket Challenge. Oh well. Anywho, using the power of my overactive imagination and new hyperfixation, I went back to school the next day, excited to show my best friend this new thing. I'm going to be referring to this friend as Alex during this video in order to protect their identity. So Alex seemed just as pumped as I was about the whole thing, and of course that got my imagination to skyrocket. I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna pretend I'm one of these things. A cute little dog thing, you know, childish animal roleplay. And let's just say that with how oblivious I already was, it somehow got even worse when I forgot that people didn't automatically know what my version of demons were, and that they weren't the typical malicious kind. So here I was, calling myself a demon, blissfully unaware of how bizarre it looked from an outsider's perspective, and I would soon learn what they really thought about it. Over the course of the school year, I developed this fictional creature constantly. I created different demon species, and well, every other development happened after my mom realized what was happening and sat down to tell me about how this whole demon thing looked from the outside. Alex pulled the name Dythonia out of their ass, and it actually stuck ever since. Afterwards, I created the Dythonia test, a simple task to give people in exchange for their own personalized Dythonia based off of them, like a personality test. My small friend group, the first friend group I've ever been in, slowly built up the world of Dythonias. There was odd drama, especially when we began to call our group the Dythonia Club. People would constantly come up to me telling me they quit Dythonias just to hang out with me the next day. It created a bizarre dynamic between me and my friends, but I just tried my best to stay calm and keep working on my creation. I really wasn't sure what I was doing wrong, but that's common for children who unknowingly have ASD. Now, I eventually got into Five Nights at Freddy's, something that was definitely dark and scary, especially when compared to Dythonias. For a while, I didn't focus on my own creation and was obsessed with this damn game. We would write tiny books for assignments every day about whatever we wanted, and here I was writing about the disturbing Five Nights at Freddy's lore. I had been exposed to some creepy shit on the internet before, and it had even bled into some of my old Dythonia fiction in my school journal back when they were called demons still. You see what's happening here? Yeah, a perfect sickening storm. I admit what I'm about to share regarding Dythonias was a misunderstanding, but the horror game writing was definitely a valid cause for concern. But the thing is, it was in no way related to Dythonias. My teacher saw it otherwise. Oh yeah, the Charlie Charlie challenge also happened around this time, and although I was scared of it, I still participated out of pretty much peer pressure, so that didn't fucking help my look at all. My teacher, who I will call Miss Frame for reasons, had been gathering her own take on what was going on throughout the school year. I noticed she started to have a bitter attitude with me, and at the time I had no fucking clue why. She had never once sat down with me and asked me about what I was doing. She never emailed my parents about any sort of concern. What she did instead was, from my perspective, unforgivable. One day, during silent writing time, my friends and I were pulled into the hallway one by one and sat in a circle with Miss Frame. We had no idea what the fuck was going on. And keep in mind, the classrooms had no doors, just open spaces right out to the hallway, so we were in plain sight. I don't remember exactly what Miss Frame said, but the harshest details definitely stuck with me. Although her attitude was calm, the things she said were terrifying for me. She listed everything she had been seeing and claimed she would contact our parents about it. A couple of my friends were in no way affiliated with the Dythonia shit, so they were free to go. Everyone else just didn't really care and seemed unfazed, but I do think one or two friends may have cried a little as well, just out of fear. In the end, I was the last child in the hallway with Miss Frame. I became nonverbal, just crying. I feared my friends would see me as a troublemaker who brought them into this. Miss Frame went back to the classroom and said she would check on me later. Horrifying scenarios rushed through my head of getting in deep trouble with people, getting arrested, losing my friends, being sent to a hospital. My 8-year-old brain literally couldn't handle what was happening. Did the teacher leave me to calm down? Because leaving made it worse. There I was for who knows how long, sobbing in the hallway by myself as other people walked by every now and then. I cried so hard my head bounced off of my knees as I held them tight to my chest. And despite my shock, my early age self-consciousness was wondering how crazy I looked. When Miss Frame finally came back to me, I could still hardly speak at all. The only thing I could do was ask if I could talk to my mom. I knew she would understand me. So, we started making our way to the principal's office, something I had never experienced in my life. I was afraid, but seeing the telephone eased my anxiety. Finally, I thought I could have some comfort and take a break from this madness. All that went away when my teacher picked up the phone and talked to my mom without letting me say a single word to her. I would like to take a moment to read from my mom's journal entry. Dythonia/demon. Dad is finishing up a meeting at Izzy's school right now with the head of school and dean of lower school. It's all regarding a phone call I received last Wednesday afternoon, just as I was getting in my car in the garage to pick Izzy up from school. A regular day, or so I thought. I had just sat down in the car and almost started the engine. I was excited to pick Izzy up and let her know that I was able to move her orthodontist appointment up to the following day, Thursday, rather than the following Monday. She was so excited to get braces and did not want to wait through the weekend. She just had her consultation that morning. The phone rang before I could start my car. It was her teacher, Miss Frame. In hindsight, it was obvious she was nervous to be making the call. When she greeted me, she stumbled over her own name. No wonder, the shit she told me would have made anyone nervous. She needed to make me aware that my daughter has been telling other children about demons. She has been drawing demons. She even brought a demon test to school for other children to take to determine whether or not they were demons. One child tested positive and went home to tell their parents that they were a demon. The parents were very upset. They told their child that it's not true. They are not a demon. But the child insisted, and the parents were so distraught they called the school. Miss Frame made only one attempt to use the word dythonia, which is what this is really about. Several months ago, Izzy began drawing a character that is based off of our chihuahua, Lola. In a nutshell, the characters are like Lola, but with bat wings. The ears are usually elongated and drooped down, tipped in black. When she first started drawing these characters, she called them demons. Izzy did not know what demons were, really. She heard the word from her brother. She knew that they were wicked, but in the cool sense of the word wicked, not evil and or dangerous, just funky, cool. As soon as I saw her use the word in a journal entry, I had a serious talk with her. I told her that there are people who would take great offense to the use of that word, and she needed to understand that they only recognize it as an evil word, an evil thing in general. It is not a good name for her characters, and she should no longer use that word. She felt bad when I told her this, but she didn't know any better, and she had to be told. Fast forward to the present. Izzy only uses the word dythonia in connection with her characters. There are a few of her friends that were aware of the original misnomer of demon. One friend in particular, Alex, the troublemaker and master manipulator. This is the friend whose parents got upset and unleashed this hell on my family. The mother of this child is one of the ass-licking helicopter moms, buddy-buddy with the teacher, and she warped teacher's mind into thinking that my daughter and her little group of friends are all about the demons. Miss Frame believes her with no proof whatsoever. Miss Frame is so disrespectful in that she refuses to use the correct noun for their beloved character. Instead, she blatantly and repeatedly uses the word demon, which was upsetting to me during that phone call, and it is upsetting to my daughter every time she uses it at school. The day after the phone call, she pulled Izzy and her small group into the hallway to remind them not to play or talk about or draw demons anymore. They are not demons, bitch, and we would appreciate if you would stop calling them that. We found out 2 days later, on Friday, that there was also a detailed plan to help one of the children run away from home. My suspicions that it was Alex were correct. Izzy confirmed that for me after school that day. So yeah, I hope that clears up things a little better. My family was seen as some sort of evil demon cult not to be trusted, and they wanted us punished without even seeking the truth about what was happening. After the meeting my mom referenced, I thought things would finally get better, but sadly it would be far from that. Shortly after said meeting, as was mentioned in the journal entry, Miss Frame and her young assistant talked to me and my now only 1 or 2 friends about the new rules, and boy, that whack-ass fucking teacher made some whack-ass fucking rules. I do want to be clear in one thing. These are not written word for word, and the last rule may or may not have been directly stated, but I think it was loosely put into practice. Number 1, no drawing dithonias. Number 2, no discussing dithonias. Number 3, no saying the word dithonia. Number 4, no playing with friends involved in dithonias. Number 5, no looking at those friends either. What the fuck? Alright, so, okay. Not only was this just a power trip for these teachers at best, but for us children, it was depressing and difficult to follow such rules. I immediately told my parents, who were not happy about the restrictions. I believe my dad held yet another meeting with the school or teachers in order to break the cage we were forced into. Luckily, Miss Frame let us off the hook right away. However, suspiciously, her assistant hadn't been forwarded that information, and continued to watch us like a hawk for a few days. One rule remained. Fuck. Anyway, only one rule remained. And the rule was to not draw dithonias on any sort of schoolwork or school project or anything like that. But at this point, I was so fucking fed up, I just stopped following the rule. Creation slowly came back to life, and I made a couple of new friends along the way. It was hard to maintain friendships. It still is. But I was happy to no longer be alone. I continued to be a target for... I don't know if it was bullying or what. But dithonias would be made fun of just for the same people to be inspired by my ideas. I experienced people's acts of jealousy for the first time, where they would make fun of me basically just for being good at drawing. I clashed with the warrior cat kids. I struggled with my special objects that I related to dithonias being stolen or messed with, which continued up until 7th grade. Made friends, lost friends, made friends, lost friends. Praised for my creativity by some people, laughed at by others. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck was going on. Being neurodiverse without knowing it made it a very confusing time for me. It's possible more people actually wanted to befriend me, but I was sadly blind to it. My parents later confirmed that, sadly, that was the case. Honestly, I regret nothing. Without this crazy bullshit, I may have lost interest in dithonias, but instead I have developed a burning passion to prove to anyone who doubted me that I'm still standing. I don't care about this sounding cheesy as fuck. I am proud to say that I've been working on this project for nearly 10 years now. I am no longer attending public school and will be graduating soon, but I wanted to make the video not only to share my story, but to connect with similar people and spread awareness of even more flaws in the school system. If anyone is out there with a similar story, I would love to hear from you. The story is very personal to me, and I am extremely happy to finally show it to the world. Thank you. And here's a gallery of my Dythonia-related works over the years. I'm proud of my dedication and progress. Please enjoy, and if you can, please share this story. I love you all. Thank you. Good night.